Speakers and leaders, today we're talking about how to present with confidence. Really, the only thing, okay, the only thing that really matters when you present. Now, I'm not sure about you when you have to present in your situations. Maybe it's a high stakes meeting, maybe it's on a Zoom meeting, maybe it's in front of a large group of people. But do sometimes when you speak in public, does it give you the heebie-jeebies? Or maybe you're comfortable one-on-one and you're comfortable in group situations, but for some reason, your speaking situations, maybe you don't feel as confident. Okay, today I'm here with Alyssa Dver, and she is one of the best people to really help you step it up, to get out of your head, to help you step it up as a confident speaker. And we're really gonna really dive into what confidence really means and how you can get more of it. Now, if you have not met Alyssa before, confidence crusader, no nerd, and success equalizer, Alyssa Dver leads the American Confidence Institute and chairs the ERG Leadership Alliance, the largest association for employee group leaders that are directly improving workplace diversity, equity, and inclusion. In 2020, Alyssa became a TEDx and Boston Best Speaker, as well as a 7th-time best-selling author with Confidence is a Choice: Real Science, Superhero Impact. Her work has been endorsed by thought leaders at Wharton, Harvard, MIT, Yale, UC Berkeley, the US Air Force, the US Tennis Association, Panera, Staples, Spotify, Wayfair, and a dozens more, including BostonSpeaks. She teaches CEOs at Penn's Innovation Center, advises students at MIT's Trust Center, coaches the Get Started Rhode Island entrepreneur, contributes to Thrive Global, and judges both the Best Employer and the Women in Business Stevie Awards. I want to say, Alyssa, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Hey, Kit, it's good to be reunited. I love it.
Yes. So listen, let's really just dive down into it. Let's talk about confidence. Can it be faked?
People ask me that all the time, and I think you know the answer. I think everyone knows the answer, which is kind of the irony here, right? Like, absolutely not. You cannot fake confidence. And if you are trying to fake it, the only one who's being faked out is yourself. We see it in the body language. We see it in the eyes. We see it in the vocabulary, the way that the words come out. So, Kit, I'm sorry to say, anybody who's been living on that hope, no, you cannot fake it till you make it.
Okay, but what about playing devil's advocate? Well, why can't I make my body language bigger? Why can't I speak louder? If I do all of these things, can it feel like I'm more confident if I try to do some of those things?
Well, I'm going to give you kind of the logical explanation, and I'm going to give you the neurological explanation. The logical explanation is, yeah, you can to some extent fake it in your body language, like you're saying, maybe even in the eye contact that you're forcing. But not only is it exhausting to maintain, but the cracks are there. So, for example, you noted in my bio, I do a lot of pitch training. And when people pitch, they might have this beautiful pitch to lay down. Every hand motion and everything that they're going to do is kind of scripted in practice. And they fall apart during the Q&A because they can't predict what's going to happen. And that's a crack, a crevice that lets in all that insecurity, or lets out, I should say, all the insecurity. So yeah, maybe temporarily, situationally, you can fake it a little bit. But in reality, we all detect it. We have like a sixth sense. It's our mirror neurons that detect confidence in other people. We also detect not confidence. And the slightest twitch, the little bit of this, little tells that our brains pick up, and immediately we say that person's not confident. So again, I would stand by my statement 100%. Neurologically speaking, yes, certain behaviors can feed confidence, but in reality, if you don't believe it up here, if you're not already in a confident place, your behavior, the way you act, interact, and react, all those things are going to be a reflection of really what's up here. So you have to have it here before it comes out of your skin and your emotions.
Well, what is the answer to long-term confidence success then? I love the points that you're making. If we maybe just make our body language bigger, it's maybe short-term it could do, but what's that answer for long-term confidence success?
Well, and I love talking to you in particular. There are certain organizations out there that will teach you to be a better speaker. And I used to fondly refer to them as the Stepford speakers. Stepford Wives was an old movie. For those of you who remember, it was like robotic people who did all the same things, and you could kind of see it in them. And so that scripted body language kind of method, formulaic way to present, it just is not credible. You have to be yourself. You have to be confident enough that what you're there to share is something that people want to hear. Let's start with that as the fundamental. Now, you asked me about confidence overall. We're obviously focused here on presentation, but I'm going to take a step back for a minute, because at a 30,000 foot level, the true confidence comes from that sense of certainty that you are being true to your values, your needs, and wants. And again, a longer conversation for a bigger class here. How does that translate into presenting? The biggest thing is that if you're getting on stage and you believe that you have something of value to share with other people and that you are the person that should deliver it at that moment, that's the place to start. So, it sounds so easy. I think people are like, what? Yeah, that's where it starts. It starts with that fundamental belief that I am on the stage or I'm in the meeting and I have something of value that the other person or other people actually will benefit from hearing. And if you don't have that, I don't care how you say it or how you stand or any other Stepford techniques, it ain't gonna come out with confidence.
Yeah, so as we're talking about presenting, even as we're getting on stage, or maybe it's weekly Zoom meetings, why in the first place, actually, let's backtrack a little bit. Why do you think presenting really just wreaks all that havoc around our nerves and all of that?
Yeah, well, there are all kinds of people who are going to explain it in a kind of social way, right? Like we're worried about what we're going to say, how people are going to judge us. And so neurologically speaking, there are 3 fears that really trigger your brain to go into a little bit of that confidence crisis. We call it at the Institute, the amygdala moment, where your brain's going, uh-oh, I could be emotionally hurt. Nobody's going to throw a tomato at you necessarily, but they may not like you. You may actually fail. You may not deliver on what you are there to do, or you may regret something you said or didn't say. And those 3 fears, whether you're on stage in a meeting, having dinner with your mother-in-law, or just seriously self-evaluating, those 3 fears is what triggers the confidence crisis. So presentation has kind of got all 3 of those in spades, right? And the biggest one, really the one that ties them all, is the fear of rejection. Like, we want people to like us. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, young, or old. We all have that common need. And that need to belong, the need to not be rejected and not feel like we're a loser, that's what triggers that fear. And once the fear is in your brain, my book, as you said, is Confidence is a Choice. You actually can decide what to do with that fear. You can use it as a signal, as a productive way of dealing with it. And looking it in the face and going, yeah, I understand what's causing that fear and I'm going to overcome it. Or you can wig out. And unfortunately, or maybe good fortunately for your business, right? More people wig out and they just let it go into their brainstem where they get completely cave person-like.
What about, let's say someone, okay, now they believe or they see other people, they have that confidence, they want that confidence. And I know some people ask me this, how long does it take, do you think, for someone to be, if they're really nervous, they're not confident, to becoming confident? In your opinion, how long do you think it takes?
That really depends. It depends on too many variables for me to be so diagnostic. But I have worked with people that when you explain how their brains work, and then you get to the heart of what that fear is that's triggering them to feel so insecure, so wigged out. In our coaching certification classes, in my coaching work, I've seen it happen in 15 minutes. I've seen that switch go off, and all of a sudden the people are like, oh my goodness, like, this is preposterous. Like, I'm acting like a moron. I don't need to be nervous. Like, I'm an expert in this, or you know what? I'm the right person at the right time right now. I can do this, right? Like, so I have seen that. there are two schools of philosophy in all kinds of sociology and psychology, and one of the sides of the fences, if you will, is whatever happened to you in the past still plagues you, and you got to unwind that before you can go forward. I respect that, but I don't agree with it. I do believe in the fact that, yes, we all come with our baggage and our experiences, but if we use it as that's my history and I'm going to learn from it, and here's what I can do going forward, knowing those things, you can actually make huge improvements very fast. You can not only change your mindset, you can literally change the neural pathways in your brain. That process, to make it a sustainable default position, takes some practice, and it takes some focus, and most of all, it takes will, right? I know you're gonna smile when I say this. How many times do people come to you and they're like, I really need to present better, but in their heart, they really don't want to do it. They have to do it because their boss said, or it's a career issue, that they really have no desire to do it. And I will say to people, you know what, if there's no will, there's no way. So don't even try, because if your brain, again, that goes back to that faking it kind of conversation, if you're saying, I really don't want to do this, I have no desire to do it, you'll never make the change.
Yeah. So you're saying, and that's a great point. If there's no will, definitely it's hard to get away. When you're talking, so you're basically saying, right? It's to have more confidence. We really have to, and I'm really playing devil's advocate here. I want to nitpick you, Alyssa. Let's say I don't get it. Like how? Like, so if people told me hypnosis, I kind of, even if I don't have a sense of hypnosis, I know they're going to knock me out to bed and do something to me, and then maybe I'll become confident afterwards. Not saying hypnosis is bad, but what does it really mean to, like, what do you mean? Like, do we have to know ourselves better? What do we have to do?
Well, all right. So do a little role play with me, if you will. You put me in the hot seat. I'm going to put us both there. Let's just assume that you are my coaching client as far as presentation. So pretend you're one of your own clients, right? They're coming to you and they're saying they have a presentation problem. What do they typically say to you?
Oh, I'm good one-on-one or group situations, but when I get in front of a group, I'm not myself.
You're not yourself. Why? What happens?
I feel like I have to get my points across. I have to speak clearly. I think they're judging me.
They're judging you. Think they're judging you, or they're judging you?
Well, sometimes they're making faces. Sometimes I'm not getting any responses. No one's chatting in the chat.
Okay, and why? What are the possible reasons that happens?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Maybe it's me. Maybe it's them. I don't know.
You just said it. Maybe it's you, but you don't know for sure. So maybe that truth, that self-belief that you have, that they're judging you and they're not interested in what you have to say, maybe that's not true. Is it possible that you just kind of imagine that?
It could be. It could be. I'm not sure. They're not chatting.
They're not chatting. So how could we find out what the truth is? How can we find out if they're not chatting because they don't like you, or because maybe they're just distracted, or how can we figure that out?
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just boring. Maybe I can ask them.
Ta-da! Right? Like, here's the thing. 99.9% of the time, the problem is that we've created a truth in our head, or we create a belief in our head that probably isn't true, or we don't know is true. The core definition of confidence is a certainty about the truth of something. That's what the dictionary says. If you don't know if something is true, you're not going to be confident. So the question is, if that's what's causing you not to be confident, let's find out if it's even true to begin with. Ask the people, get feedback. As a presenter, I am like a feedback whore. I admit to it. And I've presented thousands and thousands of times. And even if I present well, and I know I present well, you walk off the stage, you feel good, the energy's positive, I want to know from people, what is it that they liked? What is it that I could improve? Because that truth, those truths at that level of not, hey, Kate, great presentation, which is all BS, right? You walk off stage, nobody's going to say, Kate, you suck. So you got to go after people to get the truth. And whether it's truth about, did I do a good job? What could I do better? Did I suck? Once you have that, you can do something about it. I didn't do this well. Okay, I can fix that. I did this well. I'm going to do that again. That's what gives you confidence. So part of it is the awareness of the way the brain works and what's going on. Part of it is really getting to the truth of what your self-beliefs are. And quite honestly, when we talk about fake it till you make it, the reason people use that is it's another way of saying practice. But if you practice crappy stuff, you're going to get crappy results. So practice, but practice on all these pieces of information that continue to improve you, to make you better. And then I say to people, for example, record yourself and watch yourself, because you're always going to be your hardest critic. How many times do people go out and present and they just wing it? They get some, pat on the back, like, nice job, kid, well done, well done. And then they're like, I rocked it. Next time they're shocked when somebody gives them a feedback form and says, you suck, right? So that's not a good fake it till you make it practice till you get it perfect. No. But if you're really conscientious about, I want to get better, I want to do this, I want to understand what the truth is, my confidence goes up when I have that certainty.
So you're really saying, Alyssa, really just, so is this in a way, so how can we do it ourselves? So do we just look at the situation and ask ourselves, is this true? Is this not true?
You answered it before. Yes, you have to answer it for yourself. Look at yourself on video and say, boy, that was boring, or not. But also ask other people and have real conversations, right? Most people are going to be kind before they're helpful. So you have to say to somebody, I appreciate kindness, but I really need your help. And I want to know honestly, and you're not going to like the feedback. I hate it. I hate when I get feedback and somebody's like, oh, you didn't do this well, or you said something. All right. But you know what? It's often those kinds of tidbits that when we get riled, we know that those are really true. And that's why we're riled. We're upset because somebody told us the truth. But if we look at that and go, oh, now I can do something about that. Now I can get better. Now I can have the confirmation that what I'm doing is good. That's where the confidence comes in. So record yourself, watch yourself, be ruthless with yourself. We all are anyway. Nobody likes to see themselves in video, period, right? But watch yourself, take notes, do it again, and then ask people that you trust, not that they're going to be honest with you, but that you trust are going to give you real feedback, and ask for that real feedback so that you can get better. Pats on the back, kindness makes you feel good, but it doesn't always help.
So what are some things, Alyssa, would you say that our audience, after watching this video, can go immediately do to maybe gain more confidence the next time they have to speak?
First and foremost, again, record yourself, be your own critic, get some feedback. But one of the things that's so simple and we don't do is watch other speakers and write it down so you train your brain what's good about what they're doing, what's not so good. Now, we have these things I mentioned before called mirror neurons in our head, whether we're picking up a bottle of something or we're writing, all these things we've learned through imitation of other people's movements and to some extent what we hear and what we see. Our mirror neurons are like looking for that opportunity to imitate or reject. So when you see another speaker, and again, as you put it before, Kate, it doesn't have to be on stage. It could be somebody in a meeting. It could be somebody that's even on Zoom or on a phone call without a video. What is it that person does? What is it that person does that you want to do? What's that person doing that you don't want to do? And you mindfully start training your brain. I know it sounds so bloody easy, but that is how you learn to be more confident. You consciously make those choices about how you want to show up, how you want to behave. That coupled with the practice that we just talked about of watching yourself and getting feedback and continuing that process, that's the magic sauce. Not instant necessarily, but it is the sauce that's going to sustain you for a long time to come as a confident person, let alone a confident presenter.
Yes. And actually, speaking about that magic sauce, Alyssa, if people want to keep on continuing to learn how to get that magical sauce, where's the best place to connect with you to learn more?
I'm grateful for that. It's AmericanConfidenceInstitute.com. Get on there, check stuff out, write to me if you want. I'm all over social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and others. So Alyssa Dver, D-V-E-R, A-L-Y-S-S-A, D-V-E-R is how you find me. And I always welcome comments, commentary, questions, and anything in between.
Awesome. Alyssa, man, time just flew by today. Any last words before we go for the day? We only just touched the beginning, small
Stress
part.
and service. I know. You know what? I love presenting, and I love the fact that you present and you teach people to do this. So, for what it's worth, it is something that I think once people do get more confident, it brings great joy to them, and most importantly, it gives confidence to other people. So anyone who's out there that wants to be like Kit, I do, just get on stage, talk in the meeting, start doing the confidence work today, because it's infectious, and the world, God knows, needs more confidence.
Alyssa, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you so much again for joining us and for giving us the great wisdom, stories, and tips. Audience, I hope that you have been loving what Alyssa is saying. Go follow her, continue to learn from Alyssa. But Alyssa, I want to say thank you once again for joining us today.
It's a pleasure, Kit. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.